Thank you. I won't take full advantage by speaking for an indefinite period of time, but শুরুতে আমি একটু বলতে চাই that I would like to again join my two sons in expressing my great appreciation for over the years, now 16 years gone by, to go on remembering Salma, whether on her birthday or when she passed away. এখন সবসময় বলা যায় that in life, death is just a stage, and at the end of the life goes on. And the way it goes on is if you have done something in your life that people can remember, and you have created an institution, you have created patterns of relationships, you have left behind ideas and memories which continue to live on. তো এখন তো আমি 16 বছর পরে অত কিছু শুনে আমি বেশ আনন্দ পাচ্ছি that Salma continues to live with all of us, with all of you, and you have done it in a spirit of sadness, but also in a spirit of exhilaration, of happiness, that here was a person who lived a worthwhile life, which makes it worthwhile remembering all these years, and hopefully it will go on. আমি মনে যে এখন কি when Aino Shali started in that garage on top of Sarwar Murshid's Dhan Mandi apartment, Nurjan Murshid's Dhan Mandi apartment. She was the main person who encouraged them to go there. ওই সময় তো Salma's ambitions were very limited. In fact, Salma's ambitions শুরু থেকে খুবই সীমিত ছিল. She came from a quite well-known family, and quite a number of members of the family became very eminent people. But she herself never wanted to be eminent. She wanted to, in a way, run away from the eminence which was associated with her family. And this was one of the essential features of her personality. Only আমার মনে আছে that any occasion where people from her Dhaka University teaching days want to bring her forward to speak or to in fact project herself, she would resist that, and she would literally have to be forced to come forward and to in fact actually express herself. And she of course was a very good speaker, she was humorous, people liked to hear her, but this was not of her choosing. When she in fact initiated this whole concept, which eventually emerged as Aina Shalish Kendra, those of you who have been associated with her, and those of you who have memories, will remember it all began with this small book she wrote on the legal status of women. And she did that as part of a program of the Institute of Law, where she, of course, worked later on. But from that time onwards, she used to always say that আমার main সমস্যা আছে, that when she was writing it, that women must be made to be aware of their legal rights and to know that they have these rights, and to have eventually some mechanism where their rights can be protected. So the setting up to begin with of the program at BRAC was really to teach legal literacy and to educate women. But Aino Shalish Kendro then came as the next stage, that it isn't really important to educate women on their legal status. It is important that there should be organizations which could then inform them of their status and then give them the necessary support. Because merely by knowing the law, unless you have people who are willing to then do something for you, particularly যেখানে একটু সাধারণ আছে, তো তারপর তো কিছু লাভ হবে না. So this is why আইন ও সালিশ came into existence. But even there, যখন একটা উপরে গ্যারাজে বসেছিলাম, he never had any expectation কি এটা তো একটা বিরাট কোনো একটা প্রতিষ্ঠান হয়ে যাবে. The idea was কি আমার একটু ছোটখাটো একটা থাকবে এখানে, এখানে আমার কয়েক ব্যক্তি কাজ করে যাবে. We will go and give some levels of information to people if we could, and be of some assistance, and দেখি কি হয় এখানে. So this was essentially the original aspiration. Like her whole personality, it was modest, it was attempting not to project people as individuals, but to in fact provide a small service. এখন তো যদি দেখা যায় এখানে, after all these years, we are talking about 1985-86, তো এখন তো প্রায় 35 years হয়ে গেছে. আইন ও সালিশ has emerged as one of the leading human rights organizations, not just in Bangladesh, but which has got recognition around the Asian region and is even internationally recognized. After all, Salma has gone and received awards on behalf of Ain o Shalish Kendro from international organizations. And that this garage-centered organization has now established itself at such a level where in those days they were worrying about whether we will really be able to pay the electricity bill. And now you essentially have access to resources because everyone is now wanting to come forward and try to contribute to protecting human rights, particularly those relating to women. And you have the potential then of becoming a very major international organization. But even when you were growing and you were becoming a big organization and were coming to be recognized, Salma still chose to conduct her office from a little room, which would probably not be acceptable as the bathroom of some big NGO today in Bangladesh. But that was her office, and she deliberately kept it like that. And she kept an open door where anyone could come in, and frequently people would. And it was not always comfortable because she may, at that time, have also fallen asleep. And she would then be able to see that she was asleep and they could wake her up. But the idea was that the open door was there for everyone to come in to a little cubby hole where they could then discuss as equals all the problems which were faced. এখন যখন দেখা যায়, তো I see now so many faces. I see Tina, I see Rukhsana, I see Tamina, Nina, Parveen. I see those who were a bit older like Panna and Luther, who were still young people in those days and those who were then just beginning their career. Now, each and every one of you has become established public personality. Your organizations, not necessarily just now in Ain o Shalish Kendra, because you have moved on and created other organizations, have become part of other organizations, have become public personalities whose name is recognized. All of you, in fact, are projections of an enterprise which was started by Salma and Hamida and Khurshid in that small garage. And you are a demonstration of what a sense of commitment can actually achieve. Because again, what was significant about Salma, again, she was the first woman barrister. She was the first actually the youngest barrister in Bangladesh when she came here, then East Pakistan. Her uncle was one of the most successful lawyers in Pakistan. Her brother-in-law Kamal was the most successful lawyer in Bangladesh. In fact, even her son, Zafar, became at least a well-regarded lawyer working for a major law firm in New York before he decided to come back and become a journalist. But Salma never saw law as a profession. And in fact, at a very early stage, even though she had opportunities to, in fact, become a very well-established professional lawyer, always saw this as more of a vocation for her. And of course, she became a teacher. She did not go back into practicing law. When she moved away from the university, she engaged in research. And eventually, when she set up I Know Shalish, she essentially set it up not as an organization which would become a livelihood, as so many organizations eventually become, but again, as something in which she believed passionately and where she, in fact, would express herself and actually provide a genuine public service. And that so many of you have now carried on that tradition could come only because you received a sense of inspiration from her that here is a person who could work without reward or remuneration because she believed in something and because it was important in its own right. And you therefore you could attempt to follow her, seek her inspiration, and could carry on when she is no longer here, and could go on doing the things she wanted you to do and which you are now doing as well, if not better, than she might have achieved. So these are all words which I express from my heart. And I feel great joy and happiness in hearing from all of you and to see not just how I Know Shalish has in fact grown and become the organization it has, but how you as individuals who began, many of you, your life with her, have now also become people of consequence in your own right. And these are all, I think, as I said, tributes to her memory and a way in which her memory for me and my sons is really sort of kept alive, and which we take a great deal of inspiration that here was a person who never had great aspirations, whose one great dream was to, in fact, actually become a novelist, of which she made some sort of modest realization of that dream. But never in her whole life would she have visualized that she had given inspiration, birth and inspiration to an internationally recognized organization, which 16 years after her passing would still be remembering her with love and affection, and would then be perpetuating her memory, not just in the organization, but in the enormously valuable work they do. So thank you very much. What you have done is a great, as I said, it is a great way in which to honor her. For us, it gives us great comfort over these years. And as long as I Know Shalish and all of you who began your life with her continue to do the work that she wanted to do, she will remain a person of consequence and will remain alive in all our memories. Thank you again for inviting me.